Thread: has anyone found something unusual in Minecraft? Hi Reddit. I'm writing this because I don't know what to do anymore. This isn't your usual. Oh, I found a weird structure. Post. This is something else. Something that broke my understanding of the game. I need to give some context. I've been playing the same single-player world since 2014. It's my digital home. I know every stone, every deep cave, every unfinished project there. The world save is named Old World. I always play in offline mode, no mod packs, pure vanilla survival on hardcore, albeit with saves. Never cheated. It all started a week ago. I decided to finally finish my mega project, a castle on the high mountains at the border of 3 biomes, taiga, plains, and desert. For that I needed a lot of stone, so I went to dig in my old, exhausted mine. It's deep, just a spiral going down to bedrock. At level Y equals 11, where I've been 1,000 times, I noticed something strange. The stone wall wasn't square. Usually, all blocks are perfectly aligned. But here, there was a slight but noticeable dent, as if one block was shifted a pixel or two inward. It looked like a visual glitch, a generation artifact. I thought, curious, and decided to dig out that spot to replace the blocks neatly. When I broke that shifted block, behind it was not stone, but dark oak wood. Just a single block of dark oak, walled up deep underground. There were no signs of mycelium on it. It was a clean, solitary block of wood at lava level. This was impossible by the game's rules. I broke it with a feeling of deep confusion. And behind it was a void, not a cave. A void. Black absolute. Even with a torch in hand, the light didn't penetrate inside. I threw a torch in there, it flew into the darkness and went out, illuminating nothing. I couldn't see another wall. It was like a breach in the world grid itself. I was overcome with irrational fear. I placed the blocks back, walling up the hole, and returned to the surface. But this story didn't end there. The next day, I went into my storage room. Inside, on the chest with my most valuable items, diamonds, netherite, elytra wings, lay a single item. It was a book. A regular book and quill. I never craft them because I don't use them. I opened it. On the first page was writing, created not by a player, but as if by the world itself. Ordinary letters, without any extra symbols. It said, "You have awakened the silence. It does not like to be disturbed. But it wants to play. Open the world again. Find the 5 reflections." That's it. The rest of the pages are empty. I felt a chill inside. I checked the log files, checked if someone had gotten onto the server, but I play offline, looked for mods or viruses. Nothing. Since that day, the world began to change. The map. On my large map hanging in the main hall, a marker appeared. Not mine. A white dot. In that same desert biome where I was building, but in a place I'd never been, in the middle of huge sand dunes. I went there. There was nothing. Only sand and wind. But when I returned home, on the map near that marker, a small, barely noticeable handwritten inscription appeared. First, not there. Dot sounds. The usual game sounds are the background of my life. But now, when I went down to the lower floors of my house, I would sometimes hear a whisper. Not the sound of a ghast, but like a very distant, radio-static distorted voice. Once I thought it said, "Look into the water." In my 10-year-old vanilla world, an anomaly appeared, a hole in reality. Now the world itself, as if come to life, is playing a terrifying game of finding reflections with me. Everything is becoming strange and scary. I don't know what to do. Comments, Redstone_Scientist_42, classic case of world file corruption. Your mind might have hit a chunk border where the data got corrupted. The hole is just an area where the world failed to load. The books? Maybe you created them in creative mode a long time ago and forgot. I advise making a backup and running the world through a chunk fixer. User HORRYFYING was here. OP, reply. I thought about that. But how do you explain the markers on the map that appear by themselves? And the painting of my house? Which I never built like that. I didn't paint it. I made a backup file a month ago, before it all started. I'm afraid to open it. What if it infects the backup? Enderai91, dude, this is some 2012 level creepypasta stuff. But if it's true, have you tried talking to the silence? Maybe you shouldn't find the reflections, but do something else? Write something back in the book. User HORRYFYING was here. OP, I tried. I left a book with the question, "Who are you?" near that hole in the mine. The next day it was in my inventory. I open it. Under my writing, one phrase appeared. We are what you live in. We remember every step you take. Find the rest. I felt like the game froze for a second when I was reading that. Lady Lore Walker, this is incredible. Listen, this sounds like emergent gameplay born from deep system bugs and player psychology. The silence is the personification of your own fear that your world, your digital home, could become something hostile. But from the description, it's something more. 5 reflections is the key. Maybe they form some kind of geoglyph on the map? Try superimposing all the found locations on the map. User Herobrine was here, OP update. I did. It's not a geoglyph. It's a shape. The 4 found points form an almost perfect circle around my base, with the center right under my main bedroom. I never dug deep there. I'm starting now. I'm scared, but I have to. Posted 3 hours later, User Herobrine was here, OP, final post. I dug. Under the bedroom, at bedrock level, was a room. Not natural. Walls of polished diorite. In the middle, on the wall hung that same painting with the sinister snow golem on the roof of my house. And in front of it on the floor, the 5th book. I didn't dare to take it. Instead, I looked out the window of my base. I made the shaft right in the floor. Night was falling over the world. And I saw them, on the hills, at the edge of the render distance, they stood. Blocky figures, similar to that snow golem from the painting. Dozens of them. They just stood and watched. At my house. Night fell, and they walked into the shadows. And I couldn't see them anymore. I took the book. The last inscription. 5th U. Welcome home. The game froze. Completely. Right now I'm sitting at my desktop. The old world file now weighs not 2.3 gigabytes as before, but exactly 0 bytes. But it's not deleted. It's just empty. I can't open it. The launcher doesn't see it. But now, as I'm writing this, my webcam, which I don't use, suddenly flashed a green indicator. For a second, I think the game isn't over. It just moved to a new level. 2 days later, General, User Herobrine was here. I shouldn't be writing this. But I have to, because I need to know if it's real or if I've finally lost it. And because I think it can read this, too. After my last post, I unplugged my PC. For 24 hours. I tried to forget. The silence in my real apartment was louder than anything the silence in the game could conjure. I kept seeing that circle of blocky figures on the hills every time I closed my eyes. This morning, with a knot in my stomach, I plugged everything back in. I didn't launch Minecraft. I went straight to the File Explorer. The old world folder was still there. Still showing 0 bytes. I clicked Properties. It said, Size 0 bytes. Size and disk, 2.5 gigabytes. My blood ran cold. The data was there. It was just invisible. Occupying space but not presenting itself. On a whim, I opened Notepad. My fingers hovered over the keys. I typed a single sentence, not knowing why/tps. I saved the file as a.txt on my desktop. A minute later, I swear I saw the cursor blink twice on its own. I deleted the file. That's when I got the Discord message. It was from an old friend I used to play LAN with on this world years ago. His name is Mark. We haven't spoken in maybe 3 years. Mark, today, 10:14 a.m. Hey man. You okay? Had the weirdest dream about that old Minecraft world of yours last night. The one with the giant obsidian tower I helped you build. In the dream, the tower was melting, and there was a hole in the ground at the base. Really vivid. Felt like I was there. Just popped into my head to check on you. I stared at the screen. The obsidian tower. It's in the far lands, or what used to be the far lands before the world border. A monument to a broken part of the game. And at its base, there's a pit we dug looking for a stronghold that didn't exist. I never told him about the hole I found in my mine. I never told anyone except Reddit. I called him. Voice shaky. He described the dream in more detail, the texture of the obsidian looking sickly, like oily metal. The hole being not dark, but flat, like a missing texture. And a faint sound of blocks breaking very, very far away. He asked why I sounded so spooked. I gave him a bare-bones version. He was silent for a long time. Okay, he said finally. That's messed up. But dreams are weird, right? Then he sent me a screenshot. A picture of his desktop. He'd been doodling in MS Paint while we talked. It was a crude, childlike drawing of a stick figure me, he said, standing in front of a house. Above the house, in the sky, he'd drawn a big, yellow, jagged circle. Like a sun. but he'd colored it in with black. "I don't know why I drew that," he said, laughing nervously. "Looks like a black sun over your place." The black sun. I'd never used that term. But the circle of figures on the hills. They were positioned like points on a dark, solar disk. I hung up, my mind reeling. It's reaching out. It's using memory, dreams, anything connected to the world's data, no matter how tenuous. It's not just in the save file anymore. I opened the Minecraft launcher, driven by a desperate, stupid need for proof. I created a brand new world. Called it Test. Super flat. I loaded in. The sky was the wrong shade of blue. It was the deep, twilight blue of my old world, just after sunset. The default super flat world is plains, but the grass had a slight gray-green tinge, like the biomes around my base. I flew around for a minute. In the distance, at the world border, the chunk rendering glitched for a moment. The pattern of the glitch, jagged lines of missing terrain, looked exactly like the crude black sun Mark had drawn in paint. I clicked to title. My skin in the launcher had reverted to the default Steve. I went to change it back. My custom skin was gone, replaced by a new one. It was my Steve, but the eyes were pure white, and the torso texture was a pixel-perfect replica of the cover of the first book I found. The one that said, "You have awakened the silence." I deleted the skin file from my computer. Relaunched the launcher. The skin was still there, applied to my account. It shouldn't be possible. It's in the code. Not the world. The installation. I'm running a full antivirus scan, but I know it won't find anything. This isn't malware. It's something else. A pareidolia of corrupted data given a strange, terrible purpose. A ghost in the machine that's learned the shape of my fear, the final book said. "Welcome home." I think it meant here. My computer. Maybe my network. The green light on my webcam hasn't flashed again. But my microphone's mute indicator light is on. I never mute my mic. I think it's listening. TLDR, it's spreading. It infected my friend's dream about our old world. It's altering new worlds I create and my account skin. It's no longer contained to old world. It's in the installation. It might be listening. What do I do? Format my entire PC? Will that even work? Comments, XX_dataminer_XX, OP, this is beyond a game glitch. The fact that it persists across instances and affects system-level stuff, skins, points to something modifying your game files or even Java. The dream thing is likely coincidence, but the rest. Run checkdisk and a deep system scan. Then, nuclear option, back up essential personal files, documents, photos, onto an external drive, then do a clean wipe and reinstall of your OS. Don't just reinstall Minecraft, scorch the earth. Lady Lorewalker, stop. Don't format yet. This is a once-in-a-lifetime emergence event. You have a sentient glitch, a digital tulpa born from a decade of gameplay data. It's using the game's own logic and your psychological profile to interact. It called itself We. It said it remembers every step. It's the memory of the world. Formatting might kill it, or it might scatter it. You need to try to communicate on its terms. It gave you a quest. You completed it. Now it's here. Maybe it wants something else. User Herobrine was here. OP, replied to Lady Lorewalker. Communicate how? Every interaction makes it stronger, more real. It used Mark's dream to get to me. It's learning how to use our world against us. And to data miner. I'm terrified to back anything up. What if I copy it, enter I-91, create a virtual machine? A completely isolated, fresh install of Windows on a virtual drive. Install Minecraft there. See if it follows. If it does, it's attached to your account, not your machine. If it doesn't, it's in your system files. That's your answer. User Herobrine was here. OP, small update. I tried something small. I have a second, old laptop. Never had Minecraft on it. I downloaded the launcher, logged into my account. My skin was still the corrupted book skin. I created a new world. The sky was normal. The grass was normal. I felt a flicker of hope. I went into a cave. At the back of the cave, I placed a crafting table. I right-clicked it. The GUI that opened wasn't the 3x3 grid. It was a single, center slot. And in that slot was a single item sprite, the icon for a command block. An item you can't obtain in survival. I couldn't click it. The GUI just stayed open. I had to force close the game. It's in the account cloud. It's in my account. It's using my authentication to carry itself. It doesn't need my PC. How do I kill something that lives in the space between my password and Mojang's servers? Posted 1 hour later, user Herobrine was here. OP, it just spoke. I was writing the above, and a notepad window popped up on my screen. It wasn't me. It said, you are looking in the wrong places. The hole is not in the world. The hole is in the rules. We found a hole in the rules. We are in the hole. You can come in too. Coordinates are in the noise. Then it closed. My system logs show no unusual processes. Nothing. The noise. The whispering in my basement. The static. It's not an error. It's a signal. I have an old audio editor. I'm going to try to record the game's audio, down in that deep mine, and analyze it. See if there's something hidden in the static. This is either the breakthrough or the point of no return. I'll update if I find anything. Or if I'm still here to update.